Imagine the terror of being trapped in a city under siege, with no safe way out and reports of violence closing in. This is the heartbreaking reality for hundreds of thousands of civilians in Fasher, Sudan, as the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF, claim they've taken control. But here's where it gets controversial. Is this a step toward stability or just another chapter in a brutal power grab? Let's dive into the details of this unfolding crisis, breaking it down step by step so everyone can follow along, even if you're new to the story. The RSF, a powerful militia that's been battling the Sudanese army in a devastating civil war, announced on Sunday that they had seized the military's key base in Fasher, a major city in the Darfur region. For over a year, they've been laying siege to this place, cutting off supplies and escape routes. To put this in perspective, Fasher isn't just any city, it's a vital hub where people have been displaced by conflict, and last year, famine was officially declared in a nearby camp, meaning extreme hunger and starvation were rampant. In their statement, the RSF proudly declared they had liberated the city from what they called mercenaries and militias, a narrative that's sure to spark debate about who's really the aggressor here. But not everyone agrees. The Popular Resistance, a local group allied with the Sudanese army, fired back on Sunday, insisting that army forces are holding strong in fortified positions and that residents are bravely resisting against what they label terrorist militias. This back-and-forth highlights a core divide in the conflict. Both sides claim legitimacy, painting the other as the villain. And this is the part most people miss, how these competing stories shape international perceptions and aid efforts. The situation has alarmed global leaders. Tom Fletcher, the UN's top humanitarian official, expressed deep concern over reports that RSF fighters are advancing deeper into Fasher, blocking exits and making it harder for people to flee. He urgently called for an immediate ceasefire, unrestricted access for humanitarian aid, and safe passage for civilians desperate to leave. Yet, the RSF counters that they're committed to creating safe corridors for those wanting to relocate, along with protections for everyone remaining in the city. It's a promise that sounds reassuring, but with mixed reports from the ground, it raises questions about trust. Can militias like this truly safeguard civilians in the heat of war? To understand the bigger picture, Sudan's civil war erupted in April 2023 when a feud between the country's military and the RSF escalated into full-blown fighting, starting in the capital, Khartoum, and spreading like wildfire nationwide. Marking 2 years of turmoil, the conflict has displaced over 13 million people and left half of Sudan's 51 million population reliant on food aid, a staggering figure that underscores the human cost. Think of it as a nation unraveling, where families are torn apart by violence, and basic needs like food and safety are luxuries. While the army regained control of Khartoum in March 2025, allowing some residents to return home, clashes have raged on in the south and west. The RSF launched its siege on Fasher in May 2024, tightening the noose around this western Darfur stronghold. By August, the UN reported that more than 600,000 people had fled, but 260,000 remained trapped, isolated from vital aid deliveries. Videos circulating online show RSF fighters jubilantly posing outside the abandoned army garrison, a symbol of their apparent victory. Other unverified clips depict tense scenes, like RSF members confronting seated men accused of being soldiers, or vehicles pursuing fleeing crowds, scenes that hint at the chaos and fear on the streets. Adding to the uncertainty, a telecom blackout and disruptions to satellite internet, like Starlink, have cut off much independent reporting from Fasher. However, survivors who escaped shared chilling accounts with outlets like Sky News, describing how some attempting to flee were killed by RSF forces. Meanwhile, the Sudanese journalist syndicate voiced worries about the detention of reporter Muammar Ibrahim, whose viral videos show him encircled by RSF fighters. They're demanding his immediate release, spotlighting the risks journalists face in covering this war. If the RSF's takeover holds, it could mean they've locked down all 5 states in Darfur, potentially leading to Sudan's effective split, a controversial idea that analysts warn might redraw the map of the country. The RSF is led by warlord Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, known as Hemedti, who was sworn in as head of their parallel government in Nyala back in August. They've ramped up attacks, including recent drone and artillery strikes that, according to reports, killed at least 60 people in a displacement shelter earlier this month. These incidents remind us of the everyday horrors civilians endure, far from the headlines. The Sudanese military government has pointed fingers at the United Arab Emirates, accusing them of arming the RSF, a charge the UAE denies. Evidence from a leaked UN report in April points to suspicious flights from the UAE, with planes seemingly dodging detection while heading to bases in neighboring Chad, where arms smuggling into Darfur has been tracked. This external meddling is a hot-button issue. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres criticized it during a press conference in Kuala Lumpur, urging nations to halt weapon supplies. He emphasized that Sudan's war isn't just an internal affair, it's fueled by outside players, complicating any path to peace. But is it fair to single out certain countries, or should we look closer at all sides? Both the army and RSF face serious allegations of war crimes. The RSF and their allies have targeted non-Arab ethnic groups in Darfur, with shocking statements from fighters about forcing women to bear Arab babies, details from a November 2024 UN report that echo genocide fears. The RSF traces its roots to the Janjaweed militias, infamous for atrocities under former President Omar al-Bashir in the 2003 Darfur genocide. And in January, the US government officially labeled the RSF's actions as genocide, a bold declaration that could pave the way for international intervention. Yet, some might argue this complicates negotiations. Does calling it genocide help or hinder finding a solution? Agence France-Presse contributed to this report. What do you think? Does the RSF's control offer hope for a divided Sudan, or is it just empowering another warlord? And how should the world address external interference without picking favorites? Share your thoughts in the comments, we'd love to hear differing views.